Let's begin today's video. The immune community in Ireland. On the Antrim Hills of Ireland, researchers have discovered traces of a small community that survived continuously for nearly a millennium. This group managed to endure a series of major historical upheavals, including the European famines, the Black Death, the Irish potato famine, and severe climate periods such as the medieval warm period and the Little Ice Age. Archaeological evidence, soil sample analysis, and population records all show that mortality rates from disease and famine here remained remarkably low compared to neighboring areas. Scientists compared the social structure and livelihood patterns of this village to other communities across the country. The key difference was a completely free social model. There were no landlords or tenancy systems, and every member of the village had the autonomy to decide their own farming methods, crop choices, or even switch to hunting when conditions changed. This organization allowed the community to adapt proactively to risks such as crop failures, epidemics, or climate fluctuations, avoiding dependence on outside factors like merchants or exploitative relationships with landowners. A diversified livelihood model also contributed to their stability. Analysis of pollen and peat core samples showed that residents frequently rotated between farming animal husbandry and utilizing natural resources, thus spreading risk instead of depending on a single food source. Additionally, the absence of rent or land tax payments allowed the community to preserve their food reserves, minimizing the risk of total loss in bad years. By the early 20th century, this community gradually faded as the younger generations migrated to the cities. However, the case of this village continues to be a subject of research on social resilience and the role of community organization in facing environmental crisis, disease outbreaks, and prolonged economic instability. The murderous king of Yemen, according to historical records from the Arabian Peninsula at the end of the 5th century, the kingdom of Yemen once underwent a period of rule under a king named Ducha. He was noted as holding absolute power for nearly 3 decades, with a string of actions described as systematic killings, primarily targeting members of the nobility or powerful families within the royal court. Ancient documents report that Ducha would often lure the descendants of these influential families to his palace and then carry out executions mainly through torture and public executions. These acts served both to consolidate his personal power and to demonstrate complete control over the native aristocracy. Ducha's activities continued until his behavior provoked a powerful backlash from the elite families. An assassination was organized by members of the nobility, resulting in Ducha being killed in his own residence. After his death, his body was dealt with as a warning. His head was displayed publicly to deter others from abusing power or carrying out mass killings within the royal dynasty. The case of Ducha highlights the interaction between absolute centralized power and social control mechanisms through violence in ancient Middle Eastern dynasties. It also raises questions about the possibility of maintaining personal authority within a stratified and complex social structure where noble resistance could lead to regime change. From a social science perspective, this is an example of the boundary between legitimate authority and unlawful violence, as well as the inevitable consequences of extreme rule on the historical progression of ancient kingdoms. The origin of DNA from meteorites. Recent studies of meteorites that have fallen to Earth have led to an important discovery related to the origin of genetic compounds. Scientists analyzing samples from multiple ancient meteorites have identified all 4 chemical components that make up DNA: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. These compounds form the basis of the genetic code for all living organisms on Earth today. This finding has sparked the hypothesis that the foundational compounds for life may have formed in outer space, accumulated within interstellar molecular clouds, and then arrived on early Earth via meteorites and comets. This process could have provided the initial raw materials for chemical reactions that produce primitive RNA and DNA molecules, setting the stage for the development of simple life forms on Earth. Isotope and chemical structure analysis of the nucleotides found on meteorites indicates that they are not the product of biological processes on Earth, but were formed in the material environment of space under unique chemical conditions. This leads to the idea that life on Earth may be the result of material exchange between planets, not solely of spontaneous chemical reactions within the Earth itself. Based on experimental data, many scientists have questioned whether these genetic materials exist elsewhere in the universe and whether life could arise on other planets if conditions similar to Earth's were present. The discovery of all 4 basic components of DNA on meteorites not only expands research into the origins of life, but also fuels hypotheses about the possibility of extraterrestrial life built upon universal chemical foundations. This topic remains a major focus in the fields of astrobiology and prebiotic chemistry, laying the groundwork for deeper research into the formation and evolution of genetic material in space. The mystery of prehistoric stone messages in Scotland and America. Archaeologists have found numerous ancient stones across the Scottish Highlands, bearing a system of carved symbols that repeat certain features, most notably geometric shapes, concentric curves, and unidentified pictorial motifs. Thousands of such stones are scattered in places like Kilmartin Glen and northern coastal sites. The origin and initial meaning of these symbols remain undeciphered, but they likely served as a form of communication among prehistoric communities, reflecting cultural traits, belief systems, or ancient territorial markers. What is striking is that almost identical motifs appear on soapstone rocks in North Carolina, USA. Most famously on the Judaculla rock, preserved and revered by the Cherokee people. The symbols on Judaculla depict human-like figures with an unusual number of fingers, spirals, incisions, and animal shapes, forming a complex system that even modern researchers have yet to fully decode. Cherokee oral tradition tells of Judaculla, a giant, powerful entity with 7 fingers, who is said to have left his mark on the stone as a natural boundary between territories. The similarities in symbols, layout, and carving techniques between the stones in Scotland and North Carolina have given rise to theories about possible connections or cultural diffusion across the Atlantic in prehistoric times. Some researchers question whether migrations or interactions from Europe to America may have occurred before modern historical records, or whether these are simply examples of parallel cultural evolution in 2 isolated regions. Comparative studies of archaeological dating, carving styles, and the symbolic meanings have yet to reach a definitive conclusion, but they suggest that these prehistoric symbol systems may have had a far wider reach than traditionally assumed. The layers of mythology surrounding these symbols help preserve collective memory of unexplained phenomena, such as the appearance of the giant Judic in Cherokee culture, or the local Scottish legends of deities, giants, or zooporal beings. From a scientific perspective, the stone symbols reflect a need for communication and boundary marking, but they also raise questions about the level of interaction between ancient populations on opposite sides of the Atlantic. To this day, the striking similarity between the Scottish stones and Judaculla rock remains one of archaeology's great mysteries, posing new questions about the connections between collective memory, indigenous beliefs, and the possibility of transcontinental links in prehistory. The story of strange animal species. Fossil research and genetic data from many ancient animal species in polar regions reveal a complex history of adaptation under extreme environmental pressures. During periods of global warming, the polar areas once supported far richer and more diverse ecosystems than existed today. Large mammals such as mammoths, woolly rhinos, ancient bears, and large predatory beasts were once widespread across the icy steppes of Siberia and North America. Radiocarbon isotope analyses of bones and teeth indicate intricate food chains, highlighting the connections between large herbivores and their predators, as well as the population's dependence on brief growing seasons. Many small mammals and primates once thrived in the polar regions during the Eocene, a period of global warmth when coniferous and broadleaf forests dominated. Genetic markers collected from fossils revealed changes in bone structure, teeth, fur, and physiological adjustments that helped animals maintain thermal balance and remain active under low-light conditions. Comparative anatomical data from large marine reptiles such as plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs in near-polar seas also illustrate significant morphological diversity, reflecting clear ecological differentiation, with some species specializing in eating fish or squid, and others adapted for hunting large prey thanks to powerful jaws and flexible fine structures. Ancient bird and mammal populations in Antarctica once included giant penguins, large raptors, and other flightless birds, as shown by fossil bone analyses from ancient sedimentary deposits. Some populations developed highly specialized biological features such as thick bones, optimal insulating feathers, the ability to store fat, and efficient nutrient metabolism to survive periods of food scarcity. In glacial lakes and icy rivers, certain fish, amphibians, insects, and mollusks evolved anti-freeze mechanisms in their blood, forming specialized proteins to prevent cell freezing. Some species developed elongated life cycles, deep hibernation phases, or altered body structures suited to frozen environments. Fossil samples and genetic analyses show that this evolutionary process was discontinuous, closely tied to climate changes, migrations, and the spread of populations across continents. Modern observations of polar animals such as polar bears, Arctic wolves, reindeer, Arctic foxes, and cold water fish reveal a tendency to preserve and continue ancient adaptive traits. The study of these animals' genomes has made it possible to identify specific genetic mutations responsible for lipid metabolism, temperature regulation, seasonal coat changes, and circadian rhythms suited to changing light conditions. These discoveries contribute to building evolutionary and adaptation models for polar animals, providing valuable data for biodiversity conservation in the context of modern climate change. The City of Giants in the Grand Canyon. Deep within the Grand Canyon, the story of a city of giants has fueled debate for over a century. According to an article published in the Arizona Gazette in 1909, explorer G.E. Kincaid discovered the entrance to a vast cave system perched high on a steep cliff. After gaining access to the cave and descending further inside, King described a network of tunnels and underground chambers extending more than 600 meters below the surface.